Alright guys, we're back with another video today. We're going to be reviewing the Lost Creek reel. Alright, so stay tuned. We're going to talk about this thing and dive into it here in just a moment. Stick around. Alright, so we're going to talk about the Lost Creek reel today, okay? Pretty good reel. I'm going to be going over some of the pros and the cons that I personally look for and that I've seen with this reel, okay? Just to start it off, alright, I want you guys to remember, biggest thing when you're looking for a fly fishing system, okay? You got a certain amount of money in the bank. If anything, if you're going to pay $800-900 bucks, alright, you can definitely spend that on a reel. But it's not necessary, okay? Use that money to buy a really good rod so that you cast better and the reel can just be there to hold the line. Now that I've talked about that a little bit, I'm gonna get into some of the pros that I really like about this reel. First being the appearance of it, okay? It looks really nice, it's been machined really well. There's not really any crazy sharp edges, anything like that. Something that's going to be really nice if you guys are lugging this thing around, kind of like what I do, is the weight. All right, I really like the fact that this reel is quite light. It is machined out of aluminum like most reels, but I don't know what it is. This reel is quite a bit lighter than even my Sage C Spectrum. All right, this reel is quite a bit smaller, as you can see, but it's quite a bit heavier. All right, this is a really good quality reel, and that's a different review I can do later. If you guys want to see that, let me know. Drop a comment. All right, but for the instance of this video, we're going to be talking about this guy, okay? But it is much lighter than my C Spectrum. If you look at talking about the paint job, okay, the paint that's been put on this is really good quality. I've had this reel for about 6 months or so. Typically, I'm on the water roughly 3 to 5 times a week, and I'm out there trudging through sticks. I mean, hooking fish, things like that. Sometimes I just don't hook fish, but that's a different story. But I use these reels a lot, all right? And this reel here has very little scrapes or anything like that on the paint, and I have dropped this reel once or twice, and I've been pretty surprised as to how well it has stood up to that. So that is another good pro to this reel. So another thing that I really like about this goes into the construction of it itself. If you're going to talk like bearings, okay, bearings on this guy are really, really smooth. I do really like that. All right, all of them are. So that's a really good thing, because if you're working your reels a lot, you need those bearings to be high quality. And the way that this one sits right now, I have not found any real quality issues with the bearing themselves. All right. If you guys look on the other side of this reel right here, so you've got your reeling side, okay, for me it's my right hand. On the opposite side of this reel you have your drag system, so basically just a drag adjustment like pretty much any other reel, all right, all the way down, all the way up. It tensions the reel in accordance with how much drag you want, all right? It's pretty straightforward. So if you tighten it up really high, you're going to be looking at a higher drag, all right? If you tension it all the way down, you're looking at something that'll spin really, really well, okay, and you don't have much holding it back. Okay, there are a couple different things that I don't quite like about this reel with the drag system itself, but I'm going to save that for later. Something else that's very common on fly reels is a removable spool. Alright, so with this guy, all you have to do is unscrew this center post here, bring this guy all the way out, and then all you do is just push it forward slightly and it comes right off of the frame. The thing that I really like about this reel in kind of comparison to my Sage is the fact that it has a very large arbor. Larger arbors are intended for more line, so more your like 6 to 9 weight fly rods will have a reel typically that has compatibility with that. Right? This reel here is designed for a 5 to 6 weight, so it has a larger arbor for more line. Typically I fish freshwater. With freshwater, normally I'll fish a floating line, which tends to be a little bit thicker most of the time, so you need that large arbor in some cases. All right, I use a 5 weight and a 6 weight primarily, So this reel is perfect for that because of that arbor. I can fit more line in it and I'm not struggling to reel it in when I'm finished for the day. So baseline, those are the pros that I really like about this reel. The first con that I'm going to talk about, and let me mention first, all right, these cons are not like huge things. They're just things I personally don't like about this reel. All right, and the first thing that I don't really like about this reel is the drag system. If you look at the drag adjustment settings on my Sage, I actually have numbers on there that tell me how many pounds of drag I have set on it. So that is really handy, especially if you're looking at I just want to put 3 pounds or 5 pounds of drag on this fish. You can adjust it straight to that and not worry about it. All right. The biggest thing that I don't like about this reel, it's really not the biggest thing, right? It's just a thing that I don't really like about it. If you look on my Lost Creek reel, it does not have the numbers. It's just a straight up, just twist it to what you want, okay? And that can be nice, all right? You don't have to be super specific on the weight. You can just tension it to where you want it, and that's fine. The biggest thing that I noticed with this drag system is once I started using it a lot, the drag system started to wear quite a bit. And it's might be me as well. There might be something that I'm doing wrong, but normally after fishing for the day, I'll tension this all the way up, or as least amount of drag as possible, so it releases all the tension on the bearings. So that's a good rule of thumb too. Make sure you do that, because if you keep it depressed and tight, you're going to wear those bearings out pretty quickly. All right, but I try to loosen all my drags up before I put it away, so it's not tensioning those bearings and wearing them out. Even with doing that, I did notice that this system started to wear pretty quickly, even just with regular use. You don't always need a drag. Normally I'll just palm break it. If it's running, I'll just slightly put my palm on it. That way it's slowing it down and wearing that fish out. So a worn drag system is not really good. That's something that I am going to mention as a con. All right. The next thing that I'm going to talk about on the flip side of this reel is the fact that you have to unspool or untwist this main bolt in order to detach the spool, all right, from the actual housing or the frame itself. The reason I don't like that is with my Sage, all right, all I have to do is push out on that spool, okay, and it pops right off. And then all I have to do is just realign it, make sure everything's straight, and pop it back in. The reason I really like that is if we were to dig deep into this and say, hey, if I fall, all right, and hit something and it hits the spool portion of my reel, if this thing is screwed on and super tight and not able to come off, all right, which it's not able to if this screw is all the way down like it should be, you could possibly break that spool, and that's never a good day, all right? I really like the fact that with my Sage in particular, I can just push it out. That way, if you were to make that same argument with the Sage, it would probably just pop off and you wouldn't break that spool. All right, so that is another thing that I don't personally like about this reel. All right, so those are a couple pros and cons that I really like and don't like about this reel. Okay, like I said earlier, these pros and cons are kind of just me telling you about what I personally like and don't like. It's not something huge, all right? It's just my opinion. All right, as always, thank you guys for watching the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys learned some stuff, and I hope it helps you out figuring out what kind of equipment you want to look for and what to look for. Feel free to hit that like button and subscribe. That helps me out a ton, and I'm going to try to get you guys more videos here very shortly, so stay tuned. Thank you guys for the support. I'll talk to you guys next time.